If Starmer goes, what's next? Welcome to Mark and Pete. One Labour politician has changed constituencies and Westminster has reacted as though somebody has removed a load-bearing wall. Yeah, this is Mark and Pete, two blokes with half an opinion. Now, here's our first thought.
Political moves. If for 2 years you've been living at number 10 and came with political baggage and without a plan, you had better get packing again and order a removal van. Yes, Sir Keir Starmer, just when you think that you've unpacked everything and got yourself nice and cosy, maybe now is the time to leave. Well, indeed, Andy Burnham, yes, the former mayor of Manchester, has won the Makerfield by-election. Well, this certainly is a real revelation. Many people believe a strategic move to challenge Sir Keir Starmer as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. So, Mr. Pete, I ask you, what do you think of the ramifications for Sir Keir Starmer? Is he on his way out? And more importantly, what does this mean politically for the Labour Party?
Well, Mr. Mark, the thing is that these leaders come and go. In the Bible, it says, Daniel 2, verse 21, it says, he changeth the times and the seasons, he removeth kings and setteth up kings. So, I mean, God's in control, whoever's leading the Labour Party, in fact, whoever's Prime Minister. I'm just saying that up front, but, you know, the question of whether Keir Starmer, the current Prime Minister, it's a bit like, say, you know, introducing your wife and saying, this is my current wife, isn't it? The current Prime Minister going to go in a moment. Well, is he going to go? Well, it's more difficult than in the Conservative Party to remove a leader for the Labour Party. There are various things that need to put in place. There's a large number of backbench MPs who need to write a letter. Although I think Andy Burnham has reached that threshold, but it's more difficult. They don't do it so often in the Labour Party, whereas the Conservative Party just change leaders like they're changing underpants, and sometimes it's indistinguishable between the two. You know, it's in the it's in his gift to resign or not to resign, to have a general election, to have whatever he wants to do with Keir Starmer. He can make decisions apart from, of course, if there are the conditions met for there to be a leadership contest. But even then, he can stand and he might win.
Oh, well, indeed. In fact, Sir Keir Starmer, ironically, does have a slight upper hand because, to your point, he could actually agree to go up against Andy Burnham or any other candidate, for that matter, to actually fight for his position. And ironically, he could still win. Now, of course, many people would say maybe that, let's be honest, it's been an unmitigated disaster of a government, and pretty much most of their promises haven't been fulfilled, even though I accept there's another 3 years to go of this term of government. But it's fairly clear that most people want Sir Keir Starmer to go. Now, here's the thing. If imagine that Andy Burnham, does actually become Prime Minister, there's a few things that people would raise. One, where is his mandate? Now, even though the 25,000 people voted for him in Makerfield, 25,000 people, ironically, are effectively creating a new leadership for the nation. And that is one that, of course, the vast majority of the people in the country did not vote for. So my question here, then, Mr. Pete, is what legitimacy has Andy Burnham got if he doesn't come and get into the role and call an election to actually have that mandate? Because if he continues for the next 3 years, he could pretty much do whatever he likes, but it wouldn't necessarily be what the public have voted for.
Now, you're asking what mandate has he got, rather than what legitimacy would he have. Well,
yes,
it is legitimate for him
to
become Prime Minister through becoming leader, because it's the party that's put in power. So he could take over the leadership, and then he could become Prime Minister. That's the rather confusing way that the Constitution in the UK runs, because to become leader, you have to show that you can put together the largest number of MPs. That's what you have to show to the king to become Prime Minister. But then to be removed, you could simply have some challenger from your own party. So go figure. It's a weird setup that the prime minister can be removed in that way. But if he's in that position that Starmer is, that he loses the leadership contest, or theoretically hand it over. As I said, I think it's unlikely he's just going to hand it over to Burnham. He's has been saying that he intends to keep going and doesn't intend to go anywhere. So if that happens, yes, in term, the view of the British people will be that there's no mandate. They didn't vote for this person. And in the position with the Labour Party is, if you just look at the attitudes that have been surveyed, what do people think of what Labour has done? Well, they haven't really done what they were asked to do when they were put into power. So they've gone some way towards it, made gestures towards it. For example, there's a slight reduction in the actually quite a big reduction, but from a very high level of the immigration into the country. But the view of the Labour Party by the population of Britain is going to go down to an even lower low than it is at the moment if Andy Burnham doesn't call a general election. And if he calls it a general election, the likelihood is that he would lose, unless very, very soon, and he tries to, ride the wave that he's new and therefore, I think that's his only hope. If he's going to do it very, very quickly. But that means he needs to get in Starmer out of Downing Street very, very quickly, and I don't think that's going to happen. So, I do think that he needs to call a general election. Starmer, I would advise against calling a general election because he's not going to.
I think we can guarantee the result. Yes.
So I'm just thinking of this from his point of view, and from just from the point of view of the general populace of the United Kingdom. No one's calling for there to be a change of premier. What we're calling for is a change of government. So unless there's a general election, it's all irrelevant, I think.
Yeah, well, no, I completely agree. And in fact, the irony is that Sir Keir Starmer has said that essentially he needs continuity. He still believes that, the Labour Party is still not even halfway through their term, which is technically true. Great. But the fact of the matter is a contest to him removing a prime minister would effectively take the fight to reform or possibly even open the door to reform if there were to be a general election. The other one, which he does cite, which I can definitely see, is it effectively would tear apart the party and their movement. That's the Labour Party. But I think it's already in chaos. So an extra bit of chaos probably wouldn't matter too much anyway. But I do think that the one thing taking the bigger picture here is I'm almost certain that if you were to go out onto the streets of any town, city, village, anywhere in the United Kingdom, most people would say, we now need to have a general election, because I think it's fairly obvious that the Labour Party have proven they just cannot manage. And I think that's the thing. If you look at the economy, if you look at the number of illegal migrants and the growth on that front, if you look at the state of the NHS, the education, even if you look at foreign affairs, about some of the bad decision making that's been happening, with obviously the Mandelson affair, it just continues. It's rolling. It's a massive snowball of just disasters and bad decision making. Yes. And I think it comes back to, I know that we're obviously very focused at the moment on whether Keir Starmer should be Prime Minister, whether it should be Andy Burnham. But either way, the bigger picture is that the Labour Party has proven that it doesn't have the right policies to tackle some of the challenges that we have today. So Mr. Pete, would I be right in saying then that if it could be you could wave your little magic wand, would you prefer continuity, or would you prefer maybe a general election right now?
I think two things. One is, first, that it doesn't matter who's leading the Labour Party. It's the Labour Party that's the problem. Whether it's Burnham or Starmer, it doesn't really matter. For the good of the country, I would prefer a general election right now. And that would likely mean a reform government, which is not what I particularly want. I'm not particularly in favour of their policies either. They don't seem to be planning to change them enough that it would change things around. But it would at least get them out, and the sooner get Labour out and something not quite as harmful back in. I think something like Restore Britain or a party with the sort of attitude and proposed policies of Restore Britain in place, which would work better. Now, that could be a resurgent Conservative Party. That could be the Labour Party. And here's my advice, Mr. Mark, to Keir Starmer, if he's listening. This is what you need to do. Okay, you can see the way that attitudes have changed across the country. The Overton window of allowed opinion has changed. Remigration of vast numbers of people has become inevitable. It's going to happen. The British people can see that it's possible now. They're not cowed by being called racists anymore. So this is what I would suggest: a change. Go for it. Put in place policies that reform, steal some of their policies, not all of them. You remain a socialist, which I disagree with. But I'm saying, yeah, go for your social problems, but attack these big issues to do with business. Yes, reduce regulation, that sort of thing. Yes, you've got to do that. Make sure that that Brexit remains in place. Absolutely. Leave the GDPR. Yes, do that, and redress the problem of immigration by starting procedures to have remigration in place, which means stripping British citizenship of some people. For example, people who were involved in the grooming gang scandal, those sort of people, as soon as possible. You start to put that into place. The MPs who object to say, we didn't sign up to this sort of thing. If you don't go along with it, I'm going to the country now with a general election and you'll all lose your seats. So stick with me. Go for it, and then call an early general election once it's obvious that you have that in place. Maybe it'll take a year, and sweep the board.
Well, that may be the case. I think
that, ladies and gentlemen, is not going to happen. That's what I advise.
Well, indeed, and I don't think Sir Keir Starmer is anywhere near that kind of policy. But the point here's another point, which is that we've had a ridiculous number of turnover of prime ministers in the last 6 years. I think it's if Andy Burnham were to become the prime minister, I think it's 7, maybe 8 in the last 6 years. I mean, that in itself discredits the whole of the United Kingdom. Now, here's a thought. Andy Burnham potentially being yet another prime minister for the United Kingdom. Now, a different type of Andy, which is Andy Warhol, once said that everyone will have 15 minutes of fame. And yes, Mr. Pete, if you wait long enough, you too will be prime minister of the UK.
God help us all.